IrishBoxingCom. Ian, I probably said, well, I gave you an interview time slot. And I said, let's go now. And it is currently 5 minutes past that. Um, that's late. What's that about?
I had to put the kids to bed.
Right, okay, fuck. Anyway, fuck, I was
Young
going to
kids.
put out someone else, but I can't do that anymore. Right, anyways, it's always good to have you on. It's
No
great
problem.
chatting as always. So what's Mr. Gaughran been up to since we last talked?
Well, we've got Rudy Farrell against Matty Boreland for Rudy's Irish Super Bantamweight title coming up on the biggest show that appears to have been ever laid out on Irish soil. Crocker Donovan 2. Um, and again, we're in that position where I've got two of my lads fighting against each other. Yeah, they've dovetailed into each other. There was a little bit of back and forth from social media. And Matchroom were interested in the fight when we spoke, and we've got it over the line. So very happy to have the two lads on the show. Not so happy to have them fighting against each other, but sometimes it is what it is. And at the end of the day, I work for the two boys. The two boys wanted the fight, so they instructed me to facilitate the fight, get the fight on, get the best terms that we could, and here we are. It's going to be a very exciting night.
Speaking of that, is it hard for you to facilitate a fight between two lads that you know very, very well and you're friendly enough with?
Yeah. Um, this actually, from a making of the fight, this one was pretty easy. It wasn't a case of, and it would never be the case. It would never be something that I would push my own two lads to fight each other. I just don't like it. I've done it twice, albeit I wasn't there for the Farrell versus Care 2. I was at a wedding, so I watched it on my phone at a wedding table. But the first time, there's really nothing pleasant about it. You're going back and forth between dressing rooms. Well, one of your, well, unless it's a draw, one of your fighters is going to lose the fight and, lose a title and lose the opportunities that come from that. Unfortunately, that night it was Connor, but Rudy's kind of grasped it with both hands. He's gone on and fought on the first Crocker Donovan show. He's going to fight now again against Matty on the second Crocker Donovan show. It's a hard night. It's one of those strange ones where the first place you need to go, instead of you, ordinarily you win a title fight or you win a big fight on a big show, you jump around the ring, but that won't be the case. It's difficult. But to answer the question, it wasn't an easy one or wasn't a hard one to make because they both wanted it. And then it was a case of just going through all the terms. Jamie Conlon was very good. He was acting on our behalf with Matchroom, so it was a lot of back and forth, but it was relatively easy to get over the line once the show was given the go ahead. It was in the pipeline.
So is there like a lot of, not a lot of, but there's like thrill and agony there as well because the thrill is that, the fight and it's won. And technically, well, not technically, but logically, there's a title that's coming back to the stable because win or lose, obviously they're both in your stable, so it's kind of a it's a roll. It's a roll over. What do you want to call that? It's the title is lost, yes, but it still stays in the stable. So it actually doesn't really go anywhere. But there's an L that's added to the record of the total stable, which obviously you don't want, but it has to happen because that's the sport, and two people can't win. Someone has to lose, and that's the fact of life. No one can change that. But like, I guess it is thrill and agony for you, Ian.
Yes, it absolutely is. And the first place is the agony. Like realistically, the first place you got to go as a manager of a losing fighter is to take care of him first. Um, the winner's always fine. The winner will be celebrating with his own individual team, minus me for that little while afterwards, and he'll have his own family and his own friends, and he'll whether I get to him in the dressing room before he goes back out to do interviews or before he goes back out to see his supporters or his missus or his mom and dad, all of that stuff. My first priority has to be to speak to whoever loses the fight, and plan and plot the return.
Mm.
A lot of people say, best case scenario for you is probably the draw. Don't really like draws, though, do we?
No.
So, and that's not. That just leaves unfinished business and means we have to do it all again.
Yeah.
And you're left in that situation where two of your lads are fighting against them. We don't want to draw,
Mm.
but we don't want to lose either. So it's a little bit boxy.
there's no beef in between both the lads. They're keeping it as professional as possible, which I like to see. Um, like I'm not going to name posts or I'm not going to name anything like that because I don't I'm not in any position to, and that's not professional whatsoever. But there's been a few posts where I've seen where they've been nice to each other in the comments, and I haven't seen really much on kind of blasting, if you want to call it that, of social media posts where you know. Let's say Matty just puts on a story and takes a random shot at Rudy, and then Rudy goes back and forth. It's simmering, but it's simmering professionally where the lads know that it's business. They're probably mutuals. I don't know if they're friends or not, but they're probably mutuals. They know each other well. They have respect for each other. It's not one man doesn't have respect. Rudy has respect for Matty, and Matty has respect for Rudy. It's going in and just doing business. But at the end of the day, if you can think about it like this, in a way, like as a journalist, as I think of this, that every fighter wants to take a big opportunity, and you have handed both these lads a big opportunity. Now, this is just me thinking on the spot now, but both these lads probably thought, "Oh, I'd love to fight in the National Stadium in Belfast," and they're both Belfast lads. Well, they're both Northern Irish lads, so I guess here we go.
I don't even know if any of them ever thought about fighting on the National Stadium in Belfast because the way the domestic level has gone, the SSE or the Odyssey was the kind of the big one. And then obviously when the way things happened in March,
Hmm.
and then the nature of the main event finish and the way the fight ended, then the appeal that went in, and all of a sudden Boots Ennis vacates, and then we're in the realm of an all Irish welterweight world title fight, and then we're talking about Windsor Park, and it's like, okay, you click into gear, you go, okay, I got to get one or both of my lads onto this show. And as it's transpired, we've managed to get both of them on, which is just fantastic.
Hmm.
But I'm not sure if fighting in a 20 grand or 20,000 seater stadium, and it looks as though tickets are trending towards that kind of thing.
It's currently at
Are
like 17,000. We're sitting at the moment.
Yeah, and we got
A week, sorry, a month. We got a
yeah
month. We got
we got
29 days in. 29 days.
yeah yeah. So yesterday a month. So imagine you're going to be looking at 20,000. I don't know what way that means. The stadium happens. Do they open up the second stand on the other side or whatever it is? Like the two lads are going to be there. The way their tickets are looking, they're trending at about 1,000 tickets between them, which is pretty impressive.
Hmm.
By anyone's stretch of imagination. And look, I know it's some of the attraction is them, and a lot of the attraction is the show itself. But
Yeah.
they've both been afforded this huge platform, and a really top performance and a win for either of them catapults them into the realm of even bigger fights for bigger money on major platforms, and gets them towards where they both believe they should be, and that's certainly on the British scene or trending towards the European scene.
Commonwealth,
So
if even in Commonwealth.
yeah, and that's we're already looking at potentials for the winner, um, which don't even bother asking.
Yeah, I wasn't going to ask because I knew you. I wasn't
Yeah,
going to. I wasn't getting an answer, so there's no point in asking.
yeah. No, but I do have a couple of things in mind and have put the feelers out for a couple of little things for a possible opponent for the winner. And the loser still has plenty of options. So it's while one loses, there's still a win at the end of it. You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there's a positive off the back of a loss, unless it's an absolute, demolition.
Devastating knockout. Yeah,
Yeah,
obviously.
like
Yeah.
or the demolition one completely outclasses the other. I think they're pretty well matched, and they're both interesting styles in how they will blend. So it really should make for a good fight. Hopefully, they'll be relatively high up the bill. They're not going to be down at stupid o'clock in the afternoon. And both of their careers can be kind of
Um,
maintained.
I get you. I get you. Obviously you had some fallout. Not fall. Sorry, that's the wrong word to use. Start off that again. Obviously, there was there was a card obviously that fell through in Galway in June. the highly
Oh, no,
anticipated fight
don't.
between. No, 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 no. Listen, but it's fact, Ian. It's fact. A card fell through in Gaughran. That's pure and reasonable fact. There's no doubt about that. That's fact. There was supposed to be a fight that was going to be on the card, which was obviously James Freeman against Glenn Byrne. Now, obviously, this fight has been simmering for a while. To both of the lads, obviously, it was out of their control. They couldn't, they wanted to fight, obviously, because the fighters and they wanted to fight. That card fell through near fight week. Was it near fight week? Yeah, it was near fight week. And then um, we kind
Yeah.
of lie in this area of will it happen? Will it not happen? I haven't heard really much about it. I kind of just wanted a really an update if that makes if just obviously I just wanted an update and if any talks have gone on since.
Yeah, loads of talks have gone on since, and there's been an awful lot of shipping kind of knocking around, uh, whether it's in interviews or whether it's stuff I'm hearing back from people. I'm obviously not very fucking impressed by some of the stuff that's been said, particularly the stuff that's come back to me that's not been said in interviews. And I'm not going to start naming names, but a lot of bollocks going around about all sorts. But the fact is that the Galway fight fell through. It fell through very late. And off the back of that, James asked me to get him out, preferably in Spain if we could, because he was going on holiday. I think he was due to go on holiday the Sunday after he fought, which might have been the 6th of July or whatever it was. And went knocking around, spoke to a couple of people, put me in contact with a couple of people, and got him onto the show in Alicante, which didn't scrape a win or wasn't useless. That kind of shit happens when you're fighting in Spain. The home fighter or the perceived home fighter will get given a round here and there. I spoke to Ryan Burnett directly after and spoke to James after as well. Burnett was delighted with James' performance, couldn't fathom how a round was given against him. But we were kind of aware of that. It happened to Rudy before. Rudy went over to Spain and fought, I think, Stefan Nikolai and boxed really well. And one of the cards was all over the shop. So that happens. But this business that James was useless and starting to duck Glenn off the back of it is absolute bollocks. The fact is, James was due to go on holiday with his missus. He brought the holiday forward by a couple of days, brought his team out, had his fight, went on holiday with his missus and his baby because he had, I think he'd had 3 fights in 5 months and had basically lived in the gym for those 5 months with Glenn Byrne in mind. And so had promised his missus because, you know yourself, professional boxer is not at home and not probably the most present that he should be. And he's got a very young baby. So he was away for 2 weeks after the back of that fight. That brought him up to mid-July, I think it was. And after that, James's brother, I know, it was opening a venue in Spain. And James had committed to helping his brother James for his day job, because we know there's not enough money in boxing to keep you going.
Yeah.
Does events management, does nights at home very successfully here, really good at what he does. Family commitments came first. He was over there for a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. I think he was due back mid last week or in and around a week ago, which brought him up to, I think, the 6th or 7th of August or in and around that time, which left him 3.5 weeks to prepare for a title fight with Glenn Byrne. Nobody takes a fight of that magnitude in what everybody says is a pure 50-50, completely off the back of no training, 3.5 weeks camp, when your opponent is living in the gym, as he said himself. I think he was out for a little while. He had an injury until August or July, whatever. I don't know what it was, but he had been training away in the background. So September thing just didn't work purely from a date point of view. This business about September in the Tree Arena not being a neutral venue, nonsense. Purely it was dates and time. Didn't have enough time to prepare for a camp. And there is truth in the thing about the October, because he didn't particularly want to fight Glenn, being Jay's boxer, trained and promoted by, rightly or wrongly, that was his opinion. And in fairness, I do see Jay's point on that because Jay maintains Glenn beat Charlie Lopez. He's had a few of his fights not get decisions on his own, or his fighters not get decisions on his own shows. No, Tony didn't get the decision against Dave. Glenn didn't get the win against Charlie. There's been, I think he's had it. Sean Murray didn't beat Daniel O'Sullivan. So, like, there is an argument on that side. But James's opinion was he would have preferred to have it on somebody else's show when he's fighting against Jay's fighter who promotes and manages and trains him. And I think Jay said in a different interview that was grand. But the only issue with September the 5th was time. That's it. Not that he's no balls, not that he's a real fighter or not a real fighter and all that. And this isn't me having a go at anybody because I don't do that. I think everybody knows I don't do that. I'm not one to fire shots at people or any of that kind of crack. But the simple facts was that he would have had 3.5 weeks to prepare for Glenburn. And him and his team decided that that wasn't enough time off the back of being away for 5 weeks. And that's it.
There's a lot to unpack there. Lots to unpack.
Okay, sorry, I went on a bit there, but
no, it's fine. It's fine. You've listen. Obviously, everyone is entitled to give their opinion about a certain situation of whatever is going on in life. Let's say that, for example. So obviously, every story is two sides. So
I know the interview that Jay gave was from a rival digital platform, but as Jay said, we are personal friends. We get on very well. There's absolutely no badness.
Beef. It's no beef.
No beef.
No
but
beef.
I just wanted to be sure that people know
that's fine. Yeah, no, I got you.
It wasn't the case of him ducking the fight or because he felt he had a poor performance. Like, he agreed to the fight in June. There was no issue there, and people, you got to fight your own boxers' corners. There's absolutely no issue with Jay or Glenn because we've always got on very well. Glenn's a lovely fella, and he's doing great. And me and Jay have got on for go way back, And
how far back do you actually go?
Probably
10 years.
Maybe it could be in and around that. Yeah, 7, 8, 9, 10 years.
Yeah. So
and I've always been pretty tight. So absolutely no issue. But just wanted to make sure that if people are thinking that James Freeman is going around ducking fights, he's not. Like, happy to do it in fucking anytime really from October on.
Yeah.
I know that there's talk of a show in the SSE in November. There's probably going to be, I think Mark's talking about doing a show in October and November. But Glenn has his date now in September, and Glenn, I would imagine, will beat Charlie Lopez. He said himself he knows what mistakes he made. I spoke to him on the night. He was very disappointed. He knows what mistakes he made, and I've no doubt that he'll right them, and he will be the super welterweight Celtic champion. So after that, we'll see what happens. I know Jay's not interested in dealing with James anymore, and that's fine. He doesn't want to. I'm not going to make him. But it's not the relationship that I have with Jay as a promoter or as a friend.
Yeah.
But what I will say is there's other shit, and it's really fucking pissed me off. This business that I've heard back from a couple of people saying that I don't even know what the words were, but it's come back in a couple of different ways that I'm finished or have no sway or fucking relying on this and that.
Does that annoy you?
Big time. Work fucking hard.
Do you take a? Obviously, I'm asking this with no malice to anyone watching at the moment. I'm just asking this as a journalist question. So before the comments get on fire, hopefully they don't. I'm asking this as a journalist question, but obviously, you as you said, obviously it's you take it personal. Which obviously that's human feeling. That's fine. But then obviously when it comes to business and professionalism, you kind of have to put that aside, if that makes any sense.
Whatever works for my fighters, I'll do the best for them, and I'll leave the personal stuff at the door.
Okay.
I've been told who said it, or who plural said it. So that'll always obviously be in the back of my mind, and maybe it'll need to be a case of no more Mr. Nice Guy because I don't fall out with people. It's not something I enjoy doing. Not something I've ever done. not something I plan on doing. But you know, people always say, "Oh, boxing's a game of snakes," and this and that, and around the world there is. I've never really experienced it until quite recently. That when people who you thought you got on well with talk shit behind your back, maybe you just need to keep it in the locker.
David Ryan, Tony McGlynn, we
But fight,
rematch.
yeah.
Listen, I'm just so I was going to say there is that it's a great fight. We've seen an absolute war back in Mayday Mayhem last year. And Jesus Christ, it was Mayday Mayhem. It was mayhem at the right cow, and it was good mayhem. We've seen a crack of a main event. Dave Ryan becoming not Dave McGlynn, Dave Ryan becoming BUI Celtic champion off the back of obviously a slugfest, as I've referenced there about 2 or 3 times. Um, Dave then went out after a good while out. Um,
Mm,
Unfortunately getting stopped. I thought it was an early stoppage, to be honest. Um, I thought it was early, but listen, it's ruled in the books as a stoppage. I haven't even chatted to Dave. I was supposed to reach out to him for a Zoom, but I forgot. But how's Dave been feeling since, and why do we match now? Is actually why do we match now? Is the first question, and obviously how's Dave feeling then after?
why the rematch now goes back to the good relationship I have with Jay. He reached out and said, "Do you fancy it?" We said, "Yeah," and it was done in that time. Although I will say it wasn't done in that time because uh, I had sent a message to Jay that I hadn't actually pressed the send button and was extremely busy with work. And then Jay came back to me a few days later and said, "Is this all right?" I was like, "Shit, sorry. I thought I'd said it to you. Yes, this is absolutely fine."
Um,
No, no,
yeah.
anything with regards to don't like this, don't like this, don't like that, change this. It was an instant yes from us, and I guess it was an instant yes from Tony and their team because they they were the ones that came to us first, and we said, "Let's do it."
Um, do you feel that it's
Right.
the? I guess you feel that it's the right time. I guess Dave feels it's the right time.
Dave has just had a period of inactivity through no fault of his own. He had taken the time out after the first Tony fight because he had the bad cut, and we wanted to just fully let that heal. Dave, obviously, as you know, running Shannon Boxing Club, an awful lot goes into that. So he had just taken a little bit of an extended break, having had that fight, let the cut heal, and really established the club. And then he was due to fight Senna, do you remember, on February,
Match.
and he was due to fight Senna, I think it was in and around the February
February a
15th.
match. Yeah, yeah. No, no, I know what you're talking
And
about. Yeah.
then that actually never went ahead because poor old John. Um,
Yeah.
but they were due to fight and they had agreed to fight. Uh, and then the Deco and Senna thing happened, which they ended up fighting each other. What was going to be February 15th, then ended up being April because obviously John's passing. And we understood that because obviously I had a conversation with Jay. It's like Senna and Deco are both my fighters, and that was the one that was originally for the welterweight, remember? And then Senna and Dave didn't really matter what the result was; they were going to fight for the light welterweight. But everything got shifted back. Dave ended up not fighting too long out. Was actually boxing lovely against fucking your man in Scotland, and just got caught with one nice punch. Came back, felt like he was rolling, and everything was fine, and just needed to ride that little storm. But the ref stepped in, and I think Dave said in the ring straight after the ref was a bit like, "Oh fuck, this might have been early," but it's fine. Shit happens. No one died. Everybody came out healthy. Dave was back training on the Monday,
Yeah.
back on the roads, back training, and looking towards what was next. There were some options over in Scotland. We were looking at a couple of things, but when Tony became an option, it's like, let's go do that.
Have you watched back the rematch? Sorry, have you watched not the rematch because the rematch doesn't happen yet. Have you watched back the first fight yet?
Oh, I watched it back a load afterwards because remember all of the business with the cards and all that kind of stuff. So I
Mm.
watched it 3 or 4 times really to get my head as to where the scoring ended up. Um, because obviously the wrong man's hand got raised at the time, and it became a bit messy. And you
After
know,
and the immediate aftermath, yeah, yeah,
I don't
did,
know, it must have been hard for Tony. Like that's a shit
yeah.
thing to happen. And again, I've said it before. Credit to Jay for actually
I
taking the
felt,
belt off.
being completely honest, I felt bad for Tony.
Yeah,
When obviously the thing got when the result got obviously rewritten in a way, obviously, and I seen I felt bad for Tony because he looked just so dejected and sad. It wasn't nice to obviously look at that. He thought, oh, like, I got the decision, grand, fine, yay. And then being told, oh wait, no, hold on a sec, that's wrong. You actually lost. Like it's not a nice feeling, I guess.
yeah, horrible. It, it it was really bad for both. Um, like Dave's moment of winning the fight never happened. He eventually got the belt, and like I was about to say there, Jay went in and had to take the belt off him and say, "Look, I'm sorry, bud. Cards are read out wrong." Had to take it off Tony's lap, which is shit.
Yeah,
Like awful thing to have to do, um, and bring it in to Dave. And it was great because he'd won his fight, but you know that was kind of taken away. Um, and from there on, it looked like it was going to be Dave and Senan, and it didn't happen. Um, and obviously, we're hopeful of revisiting that Dave and Senan at some stage sooner rather than later. But I guess the winner of this would probably be next in line for Senan, unless, of course, Senan ends up in fucking Europe or something a bit more international because he's got a fight in his hands next month. Soon, he's only in a few weeks. He's got a fight in his hands that could
three
catapult his
weeks,
career.
3 weeks.
Yeah, and like Senna's brilliant. You know,
Yeah,
you kind of look at Senan and you kind of go, we've always fancied that David beat Senan, but you look at what he's done, he just keeps beating everybody. And who's to say like Marksby looks like he's a good record. I don't know too much about him. I've only seen clips. Senan has an engine. Senan grows into fights. His work rate is incredible. Every single fight he fights, he gets better and better. So who's to say where Senan ends up? You know, he could end up in something huge next. Like he'll have beaten a 12-0 Frank Warren prospect, having won the Irish title, having already won. Like he just keeps going in, and maybe the next step for them is international. But like obviously he has to win that fight first. But I would think the logical next step for the winner of Dave and Tony is to fight somebody for the Irish title. Maybe it's a 74 draw. Maybe it's a 75-73, and the BOI go, do you know what, lads, run it back for the Irish, and we have a trilogy. You know,
it's like a total
which
Gotti versus Mickey Ward in a way.
just have to keep fighting because the first one was fucking brilliant.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Uh,
who knows what the second one holds?
they've both been very inactive. Dave's had a round since they fought. Tony hasn't at all. So they're both coming in basically off no real rounds. So you don't know how it's going to play out. Um,
I think Tony was supposed to be scheduled for a card in the USA a few months ago, and I think that unfortunately obviously got pulled because I think one or two things were unfortunately not up to date. Like I think it was a medical or something like that, or something along the lines like that. That obviously had to be fixed, and it got fixed, but it just wasn't in time. So, it wasn't to be really to do with that. But we've seen G Train. Huh? Yeah, it's a good fight. It's a good fight. It's a great fight. G Train. Coming off a loss. It's not the West. Obviously, it's not the best for him. Any no, don't obviously I don't mean that in any bad way at all whatsoever. But is there any plan for Graham going forward?
no current plan, but not finito. Just obviously want to make sure that the cut's fine with the jaw. The jaw is the most important thing. To make sure that the minute he starts sparring, that's fully healed. He's training away and he feels really good. Heavy enough, but heavy in a good way because he's been doing a lot of lifting weights. Not heavy in a fat way. Heavy actually put on like a bit of brawn. Um, but he's not finished, I don't think, in his own mind anyway. But it will all depend on what way things pan out. Certainly, first of all, with his jaw. Second of all, we would definitely need to get a win into him. Either a win into him or jump straight into something. But he's not going to be given an Irish title fight off the back of that loss. So we'll look if Everything is fine with the jaw. He's basically Wolf of Wall Street, not fucking leaving. So I don't think he's ready to hang them up just yet. But it's a conversation that needs to be had when everything is fully cleared with the jaw. And we're trying not to be sentimental about everything because obviously he's been so good around the place and he's so good for Limerick boxing and so good for Sean and Treaty and so good for me. Um, Boxing isn't a sentimental game either at the same time to make sure that his health is fine, particularly with that jaw. Not getting any younger, he's 38 years old. So it's just a case of monitor that situation over the next few weeks when he gets back into training. Once he needs to, I'm sure he needs to go to his doctor or whoever the surgeon was who did the thing and go, yeah, your jaw is totally fine. Am I going to be able to take a punch? Well, wouldn't recommend it. Or, yeah, totally fine. So we'll see how all that kind of pans out.
Just a quick word on Carlos Pereira and the lads that were involved in the Belfast shows recently. Just a
Yep.
very quick word.
Yeah, Carlos had to really dig in against Jacob. Jacob came out firing and probably hit boxed in his best performance of his career. I know he's a road man, but he looked actually really sharp, certainly for 3 rounds, and gave Carlos a pretty testing debut. People get deceived by Jacob's record. Jacob knows the job. He takes rounds off people. He should have been given draws and possibly wins that he wasn't given away in the UK and that kind of stuff. But delighted to get it out of the way for Carlos. Very nervous first round, grew into the fight, so that was good. Cathal Jennings was great. He went to 2-0 with a very good win and really, really entertaining fourth round. They basically did a Max Holloway, pointed down the up, and they sort of went at each other for the last 20, 30 seconds. Before that, he had boxed really well. He had very, very interrupted preparation where he couldn't do any sparring for camp, but really professional. Again, great noise, did a lot of tickets. And we'll get him out again before the end of the year. There was 2 lads that were supposed to be on Mark Dunlop's show. Aaron O'Donoghue, obviously elite champion, and has fought once since we linked up. Broke his hand sparring. He actually sparred with Dave Ryan 1 week. He was sparring with Lee Reeves, and he broke his hand in a cast. They were waiting to see what the story with surgery and all that was. But as soon as he's healed up and recovered, he'll be back out because he's very fucking talented and he can go quite far. And he's happy to jump into domestics quite soon. I want to get a 6-rounder into him, and then I think he'll look at taking people in the welterweight division. And Conor Kerr ripped tendons in his thumb. This part of his hand here went out like big balloon.
Okay.
Yeah, like a week and a half before the fight. He was due to fight Kane Singh, who Theo Allen beat. So Conor was good because he's had a bit of a stop-start kind of thing. Obviously, since he had the 2 Rudy fights, had a tough night against Eric Omar Lopez, and was really looking forward to getting back to another 6 rounds and then move into something domestically. There has been a couple of little whispers from a couple of different promoters about potential fight. Don't ask. But they're very interested, and I don't mean that to be rude. Don't ask.
No, I got you.
I can probably tell you off the record, but it's not something they're interested in potential fights, and they would make for really clash of styles kind of fights. That could be very interesting for him. And I suppose we're probably running out of time. Oisin Dunlop has signed, really talented young lad from the Cronk Gym.
Got his A-levels today as well. Congratulations, Oisin.
Yes, he did. Do you know what? That kid is so fucking intelligent.
Yeah.
And can bang and can box. He's a huge future ahead of him.
He's Mark Dunlop's son, yeah?
No. Mark Dunlop's son also got his.
Okay.
No, it's nothing to Mark, but
sorry, I saw something on Facebook there. It was probably colliding names or something. Yeah.
I think Mark's son got his A-levels and got accepted into university over in the UK. So
congratulations both that watching. Congratulations to you lads. Fair play.
Oisin is very intelligent. You want to see his application to the BUI? I was like, Jesus Christ, who wrote that for you? And he said, no, I wrote myself. He said, no, I'm actually pretty intelligent. And Mel Crystal from the BUI rang me after he got his application. He said, Ian, you don't have to write these applications for the lads. I said, Mel, I said the same thing to him. he's extremely intelligent. I think he's really well as A level. So congratulations to him. We're going to look at getting him out quite soon.
That's kind of a
As
bit of a
always,
congratulations gift.
yeah, that would be
Yeah,
nice actually.
yeah.
I think we'll get something sorted out tonight. And I have another young lad from up that area as well, who you always ask me about new signings. Talking to another one, another elite champion. I won't give the name because we haven't got it over the line, and I don't want to, the usual stuff with
Yeah,
medicals and all that.
yeah.
Another very talented kid who could potentially go very far as well. So, yourself, always looking for talent, people who want it, who have the talent. Importantly, it is to make sure you're well backed and have your tickets and all that. But Oisin's going to go very far, and this other kid, I think, could go very well. Look out for an announcement, hopefully quite soon.
Ian, really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks very much.